Hello YouTube, this is Callum from EnglishShooting, and a lot of the time I talk about FACs and SGCs. And what are they? They're abbreviations for a firearm certificate and a shotgun certificate, and I think a lot of you already know that. So what do they look like? What do they have on them? What information's on them? So I wanted to make this video to answer that. This is what is a firearm certificate. My certificate is a couple of years old now, so it may not be the most up-to-date example, but it's going to always contain the same sort of stuff. On the front page, this is basically saying who you are. So you obviously got a picture so that they can actually see it's you that's trying to buy the ammunition or the gun. You've got your where your certificate's registered. You've got the signature of the Chief Officer of Police of that county, where you live, date of birth, postcode, your unique certificate number, your valid from and valid to, and also your usual signature. You've also got a lot of information on here about what your responsibilities are, penalties, all this kind of stuff, basically just to remind you how serious it is to own a gun in the UK, and just to remind you that if you cock up, you're going to end up in prison. You've also got the conditions of your certificate. As I've said before, explaining the processes of getting an FAC, you need to be a member of the club in most circumstances. So this basically says that my certificate is on the condition that I am a member of the Imperial College Rifle and Pistol Club. So as long as I'm a member of a club, it doesn't matter that it's in London, I'm now in Surrey, it gives me the ability to own firearms. So on the second page, which is on the back of that front page there, is what you can own. This is the juicy bit. This is the bit that everyone wants, and this is why you have an FAC. So you've got the firearms and the ammunition. So I've talked before about slots, and here that is a slot. So it's saying that I can own a .22 caliber, type a rifle, and I can own 3 of them. And then next to it I have the 308 type rifle, quantity 1. Again, it's a 308, a rifle. I can go out and get any mechanism. Obviously there's only kind of straight pull, lever release and bolt action here, but I can get any of those actions that are available, and I can get one of them. And then on the bottom is the ammunition. Now this I know has changed. This I know is now different, because I have the older style which says what I can store and what I can buy, and now you just have an outright limit, and that's the maximum you can buy, maximum you can store. So I'll go through on here because it's obviously transfers onto the new one quite easily. So this basically says I can possess at any one time 300 308 rounds, and it also says that I can store 1200 22 rounds. And then on the bottom you've got what I can actually buy. So although I can store 1200, I'm only allowed to buy 1000 at a time. And then for the 308, even though I can store 300, I'm only allowed to buy 250 at a time. The third page, again, it's got more details about restrictions, about guidances, and just to remind you about keeping record and what to do and what your responsibilities are. But this is actually the kind of record page. So this keeps a record of every gun you've ever owned or sold. So here you can see I've got 2 entries. So I've got my Smith & Wesson and I've got my Seiko, and it both says that it was sold by Portsmouth Gun Centre, their address, it gives all the details there, but I blanked them out. It says when they were sold, and obviously they were sold to me because they're on my certificate. Now if I was to sell one of my guns, I would have to enter it both on the person who was buying it, I'd have to enter it on their certificate, and I'd have to enter it on mine, basically to show that I am no longer responsible for that rifle. You're on the fourth and final page now, and this is just the record of ammunition. So it just keeps a record of what you've bought, where you've bought it from, and just what sort of quantities. And then on the bottom, just a few more guidances just on selling and transferring and other bits of responsibilities and things that you can get in trouble for if you do or don't do. The shotgun certificate I could do a video of, but it is pretty much exactly the same sort of details. The only difference is you don't have an ammunition page, you just have the record of the shotguns you've bought, and you also don't have what shotguns you're allowed to buy, because you're allowed to buy any shotgun you want within the restrictions of a section 2. So it is just exactly the same. So there you go, there's a full explanation of the FAC and what needs to be stored on it, and that can easily be transferred over to a shotgun certificate. If you have any more questions, please just drop a comment in the comment sections below. As always, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you soon.